Maseches Saita Daf Yud Zayin discusses the sugya of how the parsha of the Saita is written, that which will be erased into the water to form the Saita water. So we'll have two Mishnahs. We'll start with the first Mishnah, which discusses what the writing is, which psukim are written. And the second Mishnah, which discusses what type of surface is written on. So let's begin. The first Mishnah discusses three opinions as to what you write. And this is because when the Torah says, because of you should write these curses, the question is what is included in that. So Rabbi Yossi's opinion is you write the entire parsha, beginning from Ve'im le'shachav ish Isach, all the way until the end, where it says Yitein Isach al Shua, V'hamayim hamar ma'el b'mayayich, and you write all of that. You even write V'amr ha'isha amen amen, the entire parsha from beginning to end. Now, Rabbi Meir, who's a Tanakama, disagrees only in the part of the narrative, the narration elements, which aren't part of the actual klolos. It's just, and the Kayan should say, and she should say, Amen. All these parts don't have anything to do with the klolos. Those are just narrations. So he says you leave those out. Now, Rabbi Yehuda disagrees with both of them. And Rabbi Yehuda says you don't write any of this. The only thing that you write are the actual curses itself. You don't write any of the things in between. You don't even write the curses that are derived from the blessings that he says, if you will be innocent and you will be blessed and clean. You don't even write that. You only write the actual minimal curses itself. You don't write any other things. So the Mishnah goes through what you actually write. So it says, according to Rabbi Meir, you begin with Ve'im lo yishachav ish, then you write Va'aki sati setachas ishech, you skip V'ishbiya kaina se'isha, you write Yitein Hashem Isach alo l'shua, you write Uvo ha'mayim hamar ma'el b'me'ach litzbais batam l'am pil yarech, you skip V'amar isha amen amen. Rabbi Yossi says you don't skip anything, and Rabbi Yehuda says you just write the actual curses itself. Yitein Hashem Isach alo l'shua, Uvo ha'mayim hamar ma'el b'me'ayech, and of course you skip V'amar isha amen amen. So the Gemara wants to know, how do they each arrive at their opinion? So the Gemara first discusses Rabbi Meir. So Rabbi Meir is the one who said that he only skipped the narratives. So he analyzes the psukim, and he has four drashas here. It says v'kasav es ha'olis ha'ela ha'koyen. So you have ha'olis and ha'ela. So you have olis and ela, and an extra hay for each of them. So Rabbi Meir says as follows: Olos refers to the curses themselves, the actual where it says this bad thing is going to happen to you. Ha'olos refers to those curses that we learn out from the contrast of the brachos. So therefore you also write the brachos that it says if she's innocent. Now, Eila is an exclusionary phrase. It's to exclude the curses of the Tochacha in Sefer Devarim. In Kisavo, you may have thought that you write those two because it says Ha'olos Ha'ela. So Eila is not just regular olos, it's only these olos, and ha'ela is to exclude the tzavos, the narratives, the commands that the Torah says, which are not curses themselves. Now, Rabbi Yossi says, true, all of that is true, however, there's an S. And the S is to include the tzavos and the kabbalah, to include the narratives, and therefore you write everything. Rabbi Meir doesn't hold of the drasha of S, so therefore he doesn't have that. Now, what does Rabbi Yehuda do? Rabbi Yehuda is the one who has the least. So he says these are all exclusionary, not just Eila and Ha'ela, but Olos and Ha'olos are also exclusion. Olos refers to the curses themselves. Ha'olos is to exclude the ones which are derived from the brachos. So you don't say the brachos. You don't say that the brachos which are said if she will be innocent, you don't say those, because those aren't olos, and you don't include the olos that you derive from the fact that you learn from what will be good if she's innocent as to what will be bad if she's not. Now, when it says Eila, that's to exclude the ones in Sefer Devarim, the Tochacha, and Ha'ela is to exclude the commands and the narratives. So now the Gemara wants to know, according to Rabbi Meir, you have the two hays, one is including, one is excluding. The A of Ha'olos is including more things, and the hay of Ha'ela is excluding more things. So why is that? Why should there be a difference in the hay as to what it does? Well, that's not a problem. The hay adds to what it was doing, to what the rest of the word is doing. Olos is an inclusionary word. It's defining what you do say. So ha'olos adds another thing. Eila excludes that you say only this and not something else. So ha'ela increases that and says only this and not something else. The Gemara asks on Rabbi Meir, but Rabbi Meir doesn't hold of Mechalav Atashemei Hain. He doesn't hold of when you say something that will be, you learn out that which will not be in contrast to that. And we say that in a Tanai, when you say if this happens, then I will do this, or if I do this, then I will do, then that will happen. You have to not only say the yes, if yes, then yes. You also have to spell out an if no, then no. You can't say if yes, then yes, and you learn out on your own that if not, then not. He doesn't hold of Mechala Hadushamehen. The question then is so how could he say that you say the brachos and then the brachos also count as klalos, because you learned from the brachos that will be if she is clean, what will be if she is not. The Gemara answers, you're right, that's usually true. However, here in this case, the psukim actually teach us that because it says hinaki is usually spelled with the yud between the hey and the nun. Hinaki here it's spelled without it to show that there is going to be drastic consequences if she is not. Now the Gemara inserts a bit of a gadata. The Gemara says, Rabbi Kiva said a drasha, ish and isha are both spelled with the aleph shin, that is the word fire, except that the word ish has a yud added between the aleph and the shin, and the word isha has a hey added after the aleph and the shin. So that means if the man and wife are zoche and they are proper, then the shechina will be between them, because you have the yud of ish and the hey and of isha combined with them, and you have the shechina there. If, however, they are not zoche, the Kadosh Baruch Hu will remove the yud and the hey, and then they'll be left with just ish, and therefore they'll be burned by fire. Says the Gemara that of the woman will be worse and will come faster, because by her the hay is easier to come off, because it's after, it is not between the aleph and the shin. The yud of the ish is between the aleph and the shin. Says Rava, why does the Torah say that you should bring afer, you should bring dirt for the procedure of the saita? So the Gemara says, because she's a descendant of Avram Avinu, for whom he said, Anochi ofar ve'afer, and therefore in his merit we have this mitzvah. The Gemara is about to say, so if she's zoicha, if she's proper, she gets the merit of ofer ve'afer, and if she's not proper, then she should return to afara, return to the dirt. Says Rava, in the schar that Avram Avinu said, "V'nechi ofer ve'afer," his children receive two mitzvahs: the afer of the paraduma and the afar of the saita. The Gemara asks, what is that? Those aren't the only mitzvahs that involve afer and afar. There's also kisi adam, covering the blood of a chay and enof that are shechted. Why don't you say the afar of kisi adam? So Gemara says, afar kisi adam doesn't help you. The afer of the paraduma purifies people. The afar of the sota allows a woman to return to her husband. But what do I get out of the afer of the kisi adam? Says Rabbi further, in the schad that Avram Avinu said that he wasn't going to take anything from Staim, and he said, I'm not going to take a string or even a shoe strap. So his children got two mitzvahs, strings, he got the string of tcheles, and Ritzua, he got the strap of tefillin. So it says again, what do I get out of these? Tefillin I know, because it says, and Rabbi Lazar says in the Brisa that's tefillin on the head. So there is a hana that we get out of having the mitzvah of tefillin. But what do we get out of the string of tchelas? So Gemara says, because Rabbi Meir said, why is tchelas the color that was picked for tzitzis? Because it is the same color as the sea, which is the same color as the sky, which is the same color as the kisi akavod. Like it says, v'yiru es keso v'tachas v'aglis kamas livnes esaper ketzah ha'shamayim l'toyhar, describing the color. And it says, Kamari Evan Saper, Demus Kise, that is all the color. So it's all the same color. So therefore, by wearing the tchelas, it is as if we are makabel pnei shechina, bringing us close to the Kisei covered mamish. This includes the Gemara in this Mishnah. Now we get to the next Mishnah. The Mishnah discusses what type of surface we could use to write the sefer of the parsha of Sota, and what type of ink. So it says you can't use wood, you can't use paper. That's paper like we make today, made out of pressed plants. You can't write it on diphthera, which is only partially processed hide. That's where it's not treated with salt and the gall juice and shells and other types of things. You can't use any of those things. You have to use a proper megillah, a proper cloth. Why? Because it describes basefer. You also can't use kumus, which is a sap of a tree. You can't use kankantum, which is another thing you could theoretically use to write with. It's a type of vinegar. You can't use anything which leaves a mark. You can only write with something with ink, because ink is erasable. All these other things are not fully erasable, and it says you have to be able to erase it. We now begin the Gemara, which lists a number of other halachos. Rava says the Megillah cannot be written at nighttime, and that's because it is called a Torah. It says it's called a Torah Hazais, which is linked to Apiyah Torah Sheyerucha Mishpat. Therefore, it's linked to Mishpat, to judgment. Just like judgment can't be during the nighttime, this Megillah cannot be created during the nighttime. It also can't be written out of order, because it says because of it has to be the way that it's written. It can't be written before she's mekabel the shvu, before she says amen and accepts, because it says v'hishbia and only after it's v'kasav. Can't be written on a cloth without proper lines, because that doesn't count as a sefer. And halachal mishmisine, sefer has to have those lines.